So we have the probability of x is equal to mu raised to x multiplied by e raised to negative x all over e raised to negative mu all over x factorial. Okay? So to get the probability, it is a Poisson probability distribution. So the probability of x is equal to mu raised to x multiplied by e raised to negative mu all over x factorial. Okay? E here is constant. It's already there in your calculator. Okay? So E is equal to 2.71828. Okay? Or you just press it using your calculator. Okay? So another symbol, how to solve it. Okay? Or you may use this kind of symbol. So the probability of x is equal to lambda raised to x e raised to negative lambda all over x factorial. So same thing lang yan. Different symbol but they have the same use. Okay? Different symbol but they have the same use. When we say lambda, this one, we call it lambda. And then this one is mu. You are referring to the mean of that particular problem. Okay? This one is you're referring to the mean. Yung lambda, same thing. You're referring to the mean. Okay? You're referring to the mean. So that is Poisson probability distribution. Okay? You're talking about the assumptions. The average number of occurrences is known. So that is Poisson probability distribution. Now to solve for the mean, okay, to solve for the mean, basically, so this one is, you're referring to the mean, okay? And then the standard deviation, for the standard deviation, that will be the square root of the mean. Okay? Standard deviation, square root of the mean. To solve for the mean, just get the value of your mu or lambda. That's how we solve Poisson probability distribution. Okay? Let's proceed now to example number 1. So number 1 example, a small business receives an average 12 customers per day. So what is the probability that the business will receive exactly 8 customers in 1 day? Okay? So how do we answer number 1 problem? A small business receives an average of 12 customers per day. What is the probability that the business will receive exactly 8 customers in 1 day? First and foremost, you need to check if the number of periods are the same. Means, what do you mean by period? Okay, yung time. Okay, the number of time, are they the same? So in this particular example, per day, is it the same as 1 day? When we say per day, is it the same as 1 day? Are they the same? Are they similar? Per day, 1 day. In terms of time, are they similar? When we said per day, the equivalent of that one is 1 day. Can we?
Yes, we.
Okay, they are the same, right? When we say per day and 1 day, they are the same. They are similar. So if the number of periods, if the periods or time are the same or similar, then we can now solve it. Okay? How? First, identify the mean. The average. So what is your mean or the average? In this example, what's the average?
12 customers.
Okay, 12 customers. Okay? Now, we need to look for what? We need to look for what? What is the unknown? We need to look for what? We need to look for what?
Probability po na 8 customers.
Okay, so we need to look for the probability that the business will receive exactly 8 customers. Okay, so what's the probability that the business will receive 8 customers? So meaning, x here is 8. Okay, so the value of your x is 8. Because we need to look for the probability. Okay, x here, you're referring to the unknown value. Okay, so what is the probability that the business will receive exactly 8 customers? So we're looking for the probability of 8. So 8 here will be your x value. Now, since you already have the mean and then the value of x, you can now substitute it to the given formula. So that will be mu raised to x multiplied by e raised to negative mu over x factorial. Okay? X factorial. So to solve that, so we have the probability of exactly 8 is equal to 12 raised to 8 multiplied by e raised to negative 12 over 8 factorial. So can you please solve it using your calculator? So what will be the answer? 12 raised to 8 multiplied by e raised to negative 12 over 8 factorial. So what will be the answer? What will be the answer? Use your calculator. So what will be the answer?
3.58 ba, miss?
Sorry?
3.58?
Again?
3.58 ba?
Try to solve it again.
That's 0.07.
Sorry?
0.07 po.
Okay, very good. So that will be 0.07. Okay? 0.07. How do you get that, my dear? How do you get it? How do you get it?
Sumunod ko lang po siya kalki.
Can you just show us how do you get it?
Paano po siya? Right?
Where are you? Ayan. Sige. Open ka. Open your camera, then show us to us. How do you get it? Where are you, my dear?
Miss, sorry po. Medyo makagat yung mic.
Ah, okay. Sige, no problem. Just say it na lang. So we have 12. You press 12 and then?
Raise to 8 po.
Mhm.
Tapos yung shift po.
Mhm.
Iba po yung calculator. Shift po. Tapos
E.
yung abot po.
Okay, very good. And then?
Tapos raise. Tapos negative 12
Okay.
over 8 factorial po.
Okay, factorial. So there's a factorial symbol in your calculator. So kindly check it. Okay? Next, number 2 example. So number 2 example. A student receives on average 7 text messages in a 2-hour period. Letter A, what is the probability that the student will receive 9 text messages in a 2-hour period. Okay. Letter B, what is the probability that the student will receive exactly 24 text messages in an 8-hour period. Okay? So I repeat, number 2 example. A student receives on average of 7 text messages in a 2-hour period. Letter A, what is the probability that the student will receive exactly 9 text messages in a 2-hour period? Letter B, what is the probability that the student will receive exactly 24 text messages in an 8-hour period? Okay? Okay. Let's start with letter A. First we need to identify the mean. What's the mean here? In number 2, what's the mean? What's the mean?
7.
Okay, so the mean is 7. Okay, 7. Now next, let's start with letter A. So A muna tayo. A. Kindly compare the number of periods. Letter A, is it the same period as the given problem that we have? Or they have same period? They are talking to the same period? Or similar period?
Yes.
So, okay, so 2-hour period. So 2-hour period. So they are the same. So if the periods or if the time are the same or similar to each other, then we can now solve. Okay? So how do we solve that? So what is the probability that the student will receive exactly 9 text messages in a 2-hour period? So what is your x? What's the value of x variable? In letter A. What is your x value?
9.
Okay, 9. Very good. Okay? So we have the probability, okay? The probability of getting exactly 9 text messages. So you do have You do have what? What's the formula? Mu raised to x multiplied by e raised to negative mu over x factorial. So you do have 12 raised to 9 multiplied by e raised to negative 12 over 9 factorial. So therefore, what will be the answer? Is it 12? Ay, no. The average is 7 only. The average is 7. So 7. Okay? So the average is 7. Okay? The mean is 7. Okay? So the average is 7. So that will be 7 raised to 9, e raised to negative 7, and then 9 factorial. Okay? It's 7. The average is 7. So what will be the answer?
0.10.
Okay, 0.10. Okay? 0.10. That's correct. It's very good. 0.10. Now next, letter B. So we're done with letter A. Let's try to examine letter B. What is the probability that the student will receive exactly 24 text messages in an 8-hour period? Now, what have you noticed? What have you noticed? What have you noticed, my dear?
Hindi po same.
Okay, hindi same. So we do have 8-hour period and then 2-hour period. So they are not the same. So means what will happen if they don't have the same period? Okay, what will happen if they don't have the same period? If they don't have the same period, okay, since the given period are not the same, we cannot use the average of 7. Okay, so hindi pwedeng gamitin yung 7 text messages as the mean because they have different periods or different time. So means what will happen? We need to solve for the new mean. Okay, we need to solve for the new mean. How do we do that? Okay. So, the first mean, okay, over the second mean is equal to, that will be equal to the first given period over the second given period. Okay? So, to solve for the new mean, because they have different time, you need to apply the cross multiplication. Okay? So, the first mean is 7 over the new mean, okay? Kapag magkaiba ng time, kailangan you need to solve for the new mean. So since it's not given, so mu sub 2. What do you mean by mu sub 2? You're referring to the new mean. Is equal to, if you do have 7 text messages on average, that will be equal to how many periods? 2-hour period. Over your new mean, which is not stated, the equivalent of that one is 8-hour period. Okay? Then you apply cross multiplication. So what will be the answer? What will be the answer now? What is your new mean, if that is the case? Ano yung new mean? Apply the cross multiplication. So what will be the answer?
28.
Okay, 28. So 28. So we will be using 28 as your average. Okay? So you need to come up with this one if and only if they have different time. Okay, kapag hindi same yung time, you need to look for the new mean or the new average. So how do we do that? Try to apply this one, yung cross multiplication. Okay. So let's proceed now. So your new mean is 28. So to solve that, so your new mean is 28. Okay. And then this one is similar with the proportion. Okay. So the new mean is 28. So the probability of getting exactly 24 text messages. So that will be mu raised to x multiplied by e raised to negative mu over x factorial. So your new mean is 28 raised to 24 multiplied by e raised to negative 28 over 24 factorial. So what will be the answer? So what will be the answer? Yes, what will be the answer?
0.06 mo?
Okay, very good. So we have 0.06. Okay, 0.06. Okay, next. Number 3, a small business receives on average 8 calls per hour. Okay. Letter A, what is the probability that the business will receive 7 calls? Exactly 7 calls in 1 hour. Okay. A small business receives on an average of 8 calls per hour. What is the probability that the business will receive exactly 7 calls in 1 hour? Kindly check the period. Are they the same or not? Are they the same or not?
Same po.
Okay, same. So how do we answer this one? They're the same. So how do we answer? Can anyone, how do we answer it? So the probability of 7 is equal to? Is equal to what? So what's the probability that the business will receive exactly 7 calls in 1 hour? So 1 hour is the same as per hour. They are the same. Okay? So if they have the same period or same time, we can now apply the formula. So the probability of the probability that the business will receive exactly 7 calls, so that will be mu raised to x multiplied by e raised to negative mu over x factorial. So you do have 8 raised to 7 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 7 factorial. So what would be the answer? Okay, 0 point? 0 point?
0.14.
Okay, very good, 0.14. So 0.14. 0.14. Okay, next, letter B. Letter B. What is the probability that the business will receive at most 5 calls in 1 hour? Okay. What is the probability that the business will receive at most 5 calls in 1 hour? What do you mean by at most 5 calls in 1 hour? What do you mean by that? At most, meaning? Meaning what? At most. What do you mean by that? At most. At most, you're referring to what?
Maximum.
Okay, the maximum number of calls. So what is the probability that the business will receive at most, so less than or equal to 5. Okay, so the maximum is 5. So that would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, 0 is included, meaning there's no call in that particular day, at that particular time. Okay, so 0 to 5. When we say at most, the maximum number of calls is 5. Okay, 5. So that will be 0 to 5. And miss, how do we solve that? So to solve that, you need to add everything. So that would be the probability of 0, plus the probability of 1, plus the probability of 2, plus the probability of 3, plus the probability of 4, plus the probability of 5. Okay? So that would be letter B. Okay? So the probability that the business will receive at most 5 calls. Okay? So the interpretation of that one will be x is less than or equal to 5, meaning 5 is the highest, going down. Okay? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So to determine the probability of that one, get the probability of 0, plus the probability of 1, plus the probability of 2, plus the probability of 3, plus the probability of 4, plus the probability of 5. Okay? So can you please give me now the probability? So what will be the answer? Get the probability of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you add everything. So what will be the answer? Apply the formula. How do we do that? Probability of 0 muna tayo. Probability of 0. How do we solve that? Probability of 0. Probability of 0. So we have 8 raised to 0, e raised to negative 8 over 0 factorial plus 8 raised to 1, e raised to negative 8 over 1 factorial plus 8 raised to 2 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 2 factorial plus 8 raised to 3 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 3 factorial plus 8 raised to 4 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 4 factorial plus 8 raised to 5 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 5 factorial. So therefore, what will be the answer? So what will be the answer, my dear? What will be the answer? So what will be the answer? What will be the answer? Anyone? What will be the answer?
Zero point 13 po. Ay, 0.01.
0 point,
01.
again. Try to check it again.
Yes, is it point 20?
Point?
24?
Point 20?
Okay.
You just round it off or that will be the final answer?
Yun na po, point 2023.
2023, the correct answer is point 19. Point 19. So can you please double check it? Point 19. Point 19. Okay? So 8 raised to 0 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 0 factorial plus 8 raised to negative 1 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 1 factorial plus 8 raised to 2 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 2 factorial up to 5. So the answer is point 19. Okay? Point 19. Okay? So that will be letter B. Next, letter C. Next, letter C. Probability that the business will receive more than 6 calls in 1 hour. Okay, what about letter C? What is the probability that the business will receive more than 6 calls in 1 hour? What do you mean by that one? What do you mean by that one? The probability that the business will receive more than 6 calls. More than 6 calls. Can we solve that? Can we solve this? More than 6 calls? Possible? Can we solve it manually? The probability of the business will receive more than 6 calls? Magiging infinite, di ba? Kasi pwedeng 6, pwedeng 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then so on. So it's infinite. Right? It's infinite. So if it's infinite, if it's too long, how do we solve it? Masyadong mahaba. So how do we solve it? How can we make it short? How? Remember? We need to subtract it by?
Yung at most 5 po.
Okay. So we need to subtract it by 1 minus what? Minus what? Minus what? Minus the probability x is less than equal to 6. X is less than equal to 6. Why is it? Bakit? 1 minus the probability that x is less than equal to 6. Because if we're gonna use this one, yung probability that the business will receive 6 calls, more than 6 calls, that's too long. Okay? Pwede maging infinite, pwede maging 20 calls, 30 calls. So 7 to infinity. We cannot add that because it's infinity. But how do we solve it? To solve it, 1 minus the opposite of this one, which is the probability of x less than equal to 6. Why is it less than equal to 6? Why do we need to include 6? Bakit kasama si 6? Why do we need to include 6? Ano ba sabi ng problem? What is the probability that the business will receive more than 6 calls? So pag sabi more than 6 calls, 6 is not included. So mag-start ka, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then so on. So infinite. So to solve that, we need to subtract it, yung reverse nun, by 1 to determine the probability that the business will receive more than 6. Okay? So that would be 1 minus the opposite of this one, or yung reverse nun. So that would be the probability of x less than equal to 6. So that would be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? So that would be 1 minus the probability of 0 plus the probability of 1 plus the probability of 2 plus the probability of 3 plus the probability of 4 plus the probability of 5 plus the probability of 6. Okay? So that's how we solve letter C. Okay? So how do we solve letter C? Let's continue. So we have 1 minus 5 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 5 factorial plus 8 raised to 6 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 6 factorial. Okay? So to answer this one, okay, so to answer this, so we have 1 minus, so the probability of 0, that would be 8 raised to 0 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 0 factorial. And then to get the probability of 1, plus 8 raised to 1 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 1 factorial, plus 8 raised to 2 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 2 factorial, plus 8 raised to 3 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 3 factorial. And then to determine the probability of 4, 8 raised to 4 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 4 factorial, plus the probability of 5, 8 raised to 5 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 5 factorial. And last, the probability of 6, 8 raised to 6 multiplied by e raised to negative 8 over 6 factorial. So therefore, what will be our answer? Anyone? What will be the answer? So what will be the answer? What is the probability of the business will receive more than 6 calls? What's the probability that the business will receive more than 6 calls? What's the probability? Try to use your calculator. So what will be the answer? So the answer is what? The answer is 0.69. Okay? 0.69. Okay? 0.69. So 0.69. So that will be the answer. So 0.69. Or the 0.69, or we can have it 0.688 or 0.69. So the answer is 0.69, or that will be 69%. Okay? 0.69, or that will be 69%. So that will be the probability of the business will receive more than 6 calls in 1 hour. So that will be 0.69 or 69%. Remember that in probability, your answer can be a percentage or a decimal number, or a fraction. So fraction, decimal, or percentage. Okay? As long as the highest number is 1 and then the lowest is 0. Okay? Any more question regarding Poisson probability distribution? Any more question, my dear people? Question?